Welcome everyone to this webinar. It's a masterclass called Bringing Heaven Down to Earth, the Language of Astrology. And astrology can function like a roadmap, and it points to our destiny so we can be prepared for what's up ahead. And it's a language. It's not a belief system. You don't believe in Spanish, do you? You know it's a language. So like all languages, we're going to really benefit when we know the basics in order to learn how it works. And once we learn how it works, we're very much in tune with the cosmos. And the tarot, the magician, and I chose this today, only today. I thought it's really lovely when I do choose it. As above, so below, as within, so without, as the universe, so the soul. This is what we're talking about when we talk about astrology. And this was ascribed to Hermes. Hermes is another name for Mercury. Trismegistus, I can't pronounce that word. And he was a magician. And it comes from this ancient text called the Emerald Tablet. And it's called the Hermetic Principle. So through thousands of years of observations and correlation, astrologers know there's a synchronicity between what the planets are doing in the heavens and what is happening to us on Earth. So the magician. So this foundation of astrology is the 4 elements, fire, earth, air, water, always in that order, the 12 houses, the 12 signs of the zodiac, and 3 qualities. They are called cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And the magician is a master of his craft. So what you see on his table are the symbols of the 4 elements. The wand is fire, the pentacle is earth, the sword is air, and the cup is water. And notice what he's doing. He's got one arm raised to heaven and another is pointing down to earth. And he has that infinity symbol above his head. He is a very glorious figure. There's a yellow, vibrant colour in the card. And notice all the flowers that are around in this card. And he has a robe on, a red robe, white garment and red robe. Red symbolises beginnings. And as I'm talking to you today, we have a full moon in the first sign of the zodiac in Aries. Mars energy, beginnings. So if you think of your birth chart as the story of your life, it is like a play. The planets are the actors. Planets move. That's the definition of a planet, by the way. It moves. There are 10 planets plus Chiron. I use Chiron a lot in my work. And in the order, that's what you see here. Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. The Sun, of course, the center of our solar system. We have Mercury and Venus are orbiting around the Sun, never far away from the Sun. And of course, the Moon, the same. It's with our Earth as well. But once we get to Mars, Mars takes 2 years roughly to go around all the signs. So it can be any sign of the zodiac at your birth. Jupiter takes about 12 years approximately to go around the zodiac. Saturn, more like 28.5 years. Uranus, 84. Neptune, about 125. Pluto, which is not on this particular diagram, but Pluto is about 248. So you can see how different the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, are from the visible planets. Saturn is visible, by the way. So the signs are the costumes that actors wear. And there are, of course, 12 signs. Most people seem to know their sun sign. And they also get divided up into these 4 elements: fire, earth, air, water. And then divided into 3 qualities called cardinal, fixed, and mutable. And the houses You can think of the houses as the scenes of the play, where the action is taking place. And there is a natural zodiac, which I'll show you, where planets are in their own signs and houses. So this is it. And everything here, I use the colour wheel. So I relate Aries. It is to do with Mars, and it is the first house of the zodiac. We have to go anti-clockwise for the houses. This is a bit, what? Anti-clockwise? But yes, you do. So Venus is associated with Taurus. Venus is very much about how we earn our money, what our values are. Our self-worth is all to do with the goddess. Mercury naturally belongs to the sign of Gemini and the third house of our chart. The moon belongs to the sign of Cancer, and naturally the fourth house is about our home. I'll explain in a moment the meaning of houses in more detail. The sun, Leo, fifth house, very, very positive house, the fifth house. Mercury, now Mercury governs two signs, Gemini and Virgo. And notice what we're looking at here, the sun and moon. We're now looking at the relationship of Mercury to the sun. It's right next door. And the same with Mercury down here. And then Venus appears in Libra this time, an air sign. Venus also close to the sun and moon. As we move further out, we get to Mars, connected to Scorpio, the 8th house, and Pluto, the newer planet. And it's important, I am a sun sign Scorpio. Pluto is such a slow-moving planet. It's far more relevant to know what Mars is up to, the traditional ruler of Scorpio, and of course Mars, Aries. Jupiter, Sagittarius. This is the 9th house. We're now above the horizon. Notice that little arrow there. The horizon is that horizontal line. So now we have Jupiter, and then we have Saturn, Capricorn, where it currently is traveling. Aquarius. Now, traditionally, Aquarius was to do with the sign of Saturn's sign, and now, of course, it is also related to Uranus. And that is much easier to comprehend because Uranus, as I said, is 84 years. So it's not in our lifetime. We might well, all of us, reach that age. If you are of that age, people often, people of that age, often they appear a lot younger than they really are. It's a very kind of rebirth quality. It's quite fun. And then we have Jupiter and Neptune, both connected to Pisces. Neptune, yes, it all makes sense, but remember the traditional rulership is also Jupiter, the teacher. Now these houses, as I've said, we're dividing this life story, our birth planet, into 12, and the scenes of the play. And as I've just said, they go clockwise. And the first house, that's it here, is also, this is your rising sign or ascendant. There's two ways of saying it, same thing. If you have a planet in your first house, it will be it will be the first planet to rise above the ascendant. And it becomes very important. A planet is more important than the sign. Notice that, really important. I have many clients who have Neptune there in their first house, a very psychic energy, but also can be prone to pick up illnesses because it's so nebulous, people get colds often, but also the positive, great gifts of psychic information. So these 4 elements always go in the same order. Fire, earth, air, water. They are also naturally connected to the first house is fire, along with the 5th house, along with the 9th. And they would form a grand fire trine if you happen to have planets in those signs, all 3 of them. Fire is followed by earth. So we have inspiration in fire signs and also fire houses. And fire moves upwards, of course, doesn't it? That's the nature of fire. Then earth grounds it. So i.e. you have an idea, an inspiration, oh yeah, it's exciting. And then it needs to be grounded. It needs to be put down on paper or something in order to manifest it. The earth houses are also how we earn money. Second house, sixth house, 10th house. 10th house is career, how we earn money, self-value, second house. And sixth is more like a job, but also it is very much about our work. Then we have the air houses, 3, 7, 11. 3, neighbours, 7, relationships, 11, groups of friends. Then lastly, so we've got this idea, we've grounded it, it's practical, and then we communicate it. That's what air is all about, communication. And then finally, the emotional quality of the water houses are 4, 8, and 12. They're the most difficult to, I'm just trying to think how to describe them, because they're very much about that feeling quality, that emotional quality. And a lot of letting go energy is the 8th house, and behind the scenes is the 12th. So then in terms of, ashrams in the 12th house, things that go on that are invisible. So I'll explain more here. So that ascendant and first house in your birth chart is your personality, it's your physical body, so your appearance, and how you dawn on others. So what is it they first see if you walk in a room would describe that. The second house is all about finances and possessions, values, so how we earn our money and what planet or sign is there. By the way, you can't have a planet in every house. You might, right, but I doubt if you're on this masterclass. It creates a very scattered personality. There's no focus. So often I see the clients, there's a group of planets in one house or sign. That third house, communication. It's our siblings, brothers and sisters, people we meet first in our life. It's all about short journeys, so around our neighbourhood, early education, and our neighbours, people who live next door to us. How do you get along with them? Hopefully you get along well with them, because that's the nature of neighbours. They can make your life bad or good. Anyhow, it is also, communication is vitally important for any relationship. Now that fourth house is our family, mother. I disagree with some astrologers who give this to the father. I say it's a mother energy because it's connected to the sign naturally of Cancer, the mother, the moon. So it's also our roots and our ancestors. So the element on that particular part of your chart can often describe what type of ancestors you may have. Then the fifth house, a wonderful house, children, recreation, entertainment, love affairs, gambling, great fun, playfulness. That's the fifth house. The sixth house is all about our health. What we do every day, brush our teeth. That's one thing that promotes good health. It's about service, our job, pets, that's small animals, not large ones, and servants. Now, nowadays, that's the washing machine, the dishwasher, the hoover, or whatever you want to call it. Things around our house that are serving us, hopefully. And now we go above the horizon. So here, this green sector, note the colour wheel works very well. Red and green, of course, are opposite colours. So the seventh house is all about relationships with others. Marriage, of course, is here. Any contract is here. All kinds of partnerships. And if you're a therapist, it would be your clients to describe them. It's also what we are projecting onto others, what we see in others. And is that a negative quality or is it a positive quality? And in the course of our life, this is where we own whatever planet or sign is there. We don't push it outward. And that can, of course, be a very good energy. I have Jupiter there, so it's quite rather good for an astrologer. But also, in the past, boyfriends would often teach me something. Could be the best cheese or the best sweet wine as such, but I learned from them. And now, of course, from learning from others, I'm now teaching. So that 8th house, now traditionally that water house, this is business transactions. So this is the mortgage, the bank manager, other people's money. It's also about sexuality and life and death matters. Inheritances are there, are signified there. You know, I've said it, other people's money. So that is a very more serious quality about that 8th house. And of course, naturally to do with Mars, but also Pluto, very much about surrender. That 9th house, higher education. So it's opposite the 3rd house. There's the 9th, there's the 3rd. So early education, 3rd house, higher education, 9th house. It's also now we talk about long distance travel as opposed to short distance. Publishing is connected to the 9th house and the law. Because Sagittarius is naturally connected to the truth. The midheaven, it's called, that's the highest point in the chart, and it's signified by a little arrow, so the top. Now, the midheaven means the sun at its highest or zenith in the sky, and this is profession, your status and your father. So when people say you're at a party, what do you do? What they're asking is, what's your 10th house? Now, I read something on Facebook only today, which was really clever, about how a mum, described herself as a career. And it was very interesting. I had to get it out and publish it on Facebook because it was so clever. The 11th house, gains. Friendships are here. Groups of people, so people we're choosing to be with. Hopes and dreams. It's networks, it's politics, it's, you know, naturally Aquarius is about being the humanitarian. So we are very much connecting with like minds here. And notice it's opposite the 5th, our children. So siblings are 3rd house, which is another air house. So there's a lot of interrelationship between these houses. And then last, the 12th house. Now this is very much about forgiveness. It's about compassion for others. Spirituality, also it could be limitations here, and solitude. I use it very much to indicate the womb, pre-birth. And I've had this, many clients have said this is true. You know, a planet there can indicate what was actually going on for mother before you were born. You know, was she excited? Was there a surgeon involved, which would indicate Mars there? I've had just people with Jupiter there, and there has been a difficulty, but there's this feeling of, oh, thank God, something, you know, it's a positive quality to the baby being born. Now I'm using a chart now to show, this is called a beginner chart, and I've chosen this particular day, 20th of October, because I'm planning on launching my next Planets Within Astrology course then, and there are 5 places. So if you're keen, I'd love to hear from you. You can email me, pam@healingstars.com. I have a lot more information on my website. But this is a very good beginner chart, and if you would like one, I can easily send it to you. Just you can drop me that email, my email address. And it's showing everything, if you like. Here, it's showing all the elements here, fire, earth, air, water. It's showing all these modes, I'll come to those in a moment, called cardinal, fixed, and mutable. So you can see it's pretty balanced here. There's no one element that is missing. Here you've got there's a strong air and water, there's also a strong cardinal energy. Cardinal is to do with the seasons of the year. What it also shows is describing what these are the symbols rather for the different aspects, which I'm not going to go into in this masterclass, the signs here and the names here. And this shows the aspects. Just briefly looking at that, I'll just show you anything in blue is very positive. Anything in red is a difficulty. But overall, it's an incredibly positive chart. And you can see, hopefully you can all see this wonderful triangle, which is a flow of energy in water signs, and then also a strong connection. Mercury currently and Venus both are in Scorpio. And I write about that in my newsletter. I sent it out at 4 o'clock. So pick up your email later and you'll find out more about what I'm talking about here. So now I'm going into elements. So fire, earth, air, water. A combination. So a fire, earth type of person, if that's strong in your chart, may lack subtlety, but you are likely to be dynamic, a visionary who gets things done, whatever the obstacle. So the vision is coming from fire, getting things done is earth. However, fire and air can be an idealist, full of big ideas, but it can all just be hot air. Steamy, just think about it, the combination of fire and water. It's very creative, however, can tend towards emotionality and mood swings. Because when fire is going up, water naturally travels down. Earth and water, this is my two strong elements in my chart, is the nurturer and burden carrier of the zodiac, usually very concerned with their own and others' security. And that is emotional security as well as financial security. So emotion is the water element, financial is the earth. The earth air. Now this is a very dry combination, very pragmatic. However, often with a marked sense of humour. It's very British, earth and air, sarcasm, but also very witty. Okay, a practical intelligence. And then the sedentary air water type, relationship is really important. So a good understanding of people may be in evidence. Now, if you have in your birth chart one element not really represented, the thing is saying, this is the rule, and rules are there to be broken, of course, but saying the individual has less control over what that given element represents. So for an instance, a lack of water person may have less control over their feelings. In other words, can start crying and it's like can't stop, get carried away, overwhelmed. So basically the missing element can just function more slowly. However, also, this is important, we can often become obsessed with what that missing element signifies and then marry it or do it for a living. Sometimes an underemphasis and an overemphasis on a sign can seem also to manifest in a similar way, even if it's only at first glance. So this missing element can often have been expressed in a kind of childlike, unsophisticated, and innocent way. An example, a lack of earth person may have no embarrassment about revealing their body and may be seemingly unaware of the effect their semi-naked bodies having on others. Individuals can also be very sensitive and touchy with respect to what their missing element signifies. This is the example. If air is underemphasized, you may think others underestimate their brain power. Missing water may have a horror of being considered insensitive, and so on. So because of this sensitivity, if you have one of these elements very low, you may seek to overcompensate. So for instance, someone with low or lack of water, they may send more flowers and thank you cards. For instance, lack of air may be a great collector of qualifications or books. On another level, they may tend to undervalue what the given element signifies. So there's often an emotional charge around the difficult area, or a negative interpretation of others who appear to be sophisticated in that area. Therefore, the lack of air person may have a dislike of intellectuals. The lack of water, a suspicion concerning anyone who is too emotional or sweet. A caveat there. Most of us born from 1950 onward will have a planet in Scorpio. So almost everybody, has got one planet in a water sign, even though it might be Pluto. Okay. So lack of earth may accuse others of being too materialistic or dislike what they consider to be undue vanity in others. And finally, the person who lacks fire may dislike the world's gamblers or those who appear to get through life just trusting to luck. This does describe me. I have got low fire, and I do often think, oh, they're so lucky. I'm so lucky myself. However, I'm working on that at the moment in the best possible way. So which brings me, if you know that quote, the sense of humour. This is really interesting. And my first ever astrology teacher, called Richard, he taught me this. It stayed with me. So fire can be silly, can be childish. It's Monty Python's Life of Brian. But you can't laugh at a fire person's creations or make fun of their bodies. Earth, as I mentioned earlier, ironic, sarcasm, dry, witty. They can laugh at their own materialism, but get upset if you laugh at their mysticism, because it takes a lot for them to talk about spiritual things. Air. Air can make jokes at other people's emotions, mock people's feelings. They can turn human suffering into a joke, but you must not laugh at their romantic feelings. They can be gushy and over-sentimental. Now with water, poke fun in a gentle way, mock people compassionately, laugh at human emotions. However, you mustn't laugh at their communication abilities and how they express themselves. So this is something to research, basically. I do know that in America, it is a kind of slapstick, like a nation that enjoyed, obviously, Charlie Chaplin, for instance. That slapstick kind of humour. Whereas in us Brits, we rather like something a little bit drier. Here are the 3 fire signs. And here, these wonderful illustrations. And these illustrations are from a calendar that I once bought. And it's rather lovely if the very gifted artist has also got many different tarot cards. And his name is Ciro Marchetti, just so you know. Okay, so the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius. Fire is the element which initiates action. It is expressed emotion. Fire says, I know what I want. I have the power to go get it. It's creative, confident, dramatic, exuberant, magnetic, enthusiastic, with an irrepressible love of life. Anyone with a moon in a fire sign, you will feel warmth from them. Queen of England actually has the moon in Leo. And when she's off camera, so to speak, she's very good fun. She loves gambling, horse racing, all sorts of creative things. But of course, we don't often see that because of her position. But when fire is too strong, the individual may be foolhardy, overconfident, too self-centered, and intent on meeting personal needs. Fire signs are generous. They have faith in themselves and in life, and in their power to always get more. Fire is insatiably restless. It's got a quest for novelty, a feeling of personal outreach. But if it's weak, there can be a lack of confidence and the courage for self-expression as an individual. The zest, the humour and joy of living are diminished. So you can see how important fire is. And as I mentioned, fire is low for me. So a good way to introduce fire, light a candle. It's one of those very simple things. But warmth is also important. I can't bear to be physically cold. I'm not a sun worshipper though, so fire signs, absolutely. I have a wonderful neighbour, she's a Sagittarius. She was sunbathing all throughout the summer. It's not something that I really get much pleasure from, but I know that she's a fire sign. Now our earth signs, Taurus, the bull, Virgo, the Virgin, and Capricorn, that mountain goat who gets to the top of the mountain. So earth will follow on from fire, and now we're symbolizing the capacity, how we handle the physical world. Because earth signs are practical, realistic, thorough, productive. And the last two, Virgo and Capricorn, are the workers. They represent all the Puritan virtues, but Taurus is the capacity to enjoy the world of the physical senses. Taurus is the cow chewing the cud in the field, enjoying life. It's easy. It's a wonderful sign. My moon happens to be there. So all those planets, signs, houses have the urge to produce something in tangible form. Where Earth is strong, the individual is likely to be successful in the physical world. Where if it's too weak, there may be a lot of great talent, but nothing productive is done with the ability. So that's really, really important if you have that in your chart, to recognize it. And one book I recommend people buy, if there is resistance, is called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Stephen is spelt with a V. It's a very good little book with very short chapters, sometimes just a couple of sentences. But what he suggests is, if you have any resistance to doing any work, just start for like 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah. Just start it. And then what often happens is you might find out you're actually enjoying it. So it needs the fire to go, just do it. And then, okay, I'll do the washing up, or I'll vacuum the floors, or I'll start writing, anything like that. So now we have, to look at my slides, getting sure I've got the right one here. Yeah, now we have the air signs. The twins, air, Gemini, Libra. Libra is fascinating because it's the scales, an inanimate object. And Aquarius, the water bearer, not, however, a water sign. Many people think it is, but it's not. So after that life urge is poured out, is some form of personal expression with fire. It's met the physical world with earth. Air pulls back from this experience, looks at what's happened, thinks about it, talks about it. So air is symbolizing the conscious reasoning mind and the power to learn and then to communicate. Air is a spectator. So if in a chart there's too much focus on air, the individual can spend most of their life observing and talking. This would be very good, of course, if that person is, the politician, I would put in that category, but anyone who's, they spend their life talking, which is, chat show host could be the same. But if there's too little, there may be trouble in detaching oneself from situations and being truly objective, or trouble in dealing with peers. So air is the only element able to really talk things over and compromise and take turns to be a partner. And of course, Gemini, that sign ruled by Mercury, is twins. It's got the quality of opposites about it naturally. Libra is the scales, bringing balance, bringing equilibrium to the center. And of course, the humanitarian as symbolized by Aquarius. So being of service to others takes you out of your own stuff. So now we have those water signs: Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. Water completes the cycle. It marks the stage of absorption and assimilation. Water represents the unconscious, and it also represents the past. Memories in the unconscious mind, habit patterns built into the functioning. So it's a process of working with experience, keeping what is functional, letting go of the rest. But if there's too much water in somebody's chart as an element, it can be almost impossible to let go. So that natural urge of water is to take in, just as fire's urge is to pour out. However, water is the great caretaker, whether of people, things, institutions, or memories. As a key to the unconscious is also the psychic element. And this natural psychic openness does make it the most vulnerable of the elements, like raw flesh with the skin off. So that's not just the signs. It is also, Cancer is ruled by the moon, Scorpio, Mars and Pluto, and Pisces is Jupiter but Neptune. Notice that obviously the symbol of the ocean, the sea. So water is very dependent. It needs a safe shelter while its attention is focused on the inner world. That's why Earth is so good as the protector of the Cancer or the Scorpio or the Pisces. If you just think of it, I always use the analogy of a swimming pool. There's water and it needs the boundaries. It needs to be contained. However, water also can take us into the ocean, which is that high spiritual state of, I'm just thinking the word for it, oneness is of course the word. So that's the Neptune influence in anyone's chart, and also of course Pisces and the 12th house. So there we have a little journey through those basic building blocks. And if you are wanting to know more about yourself, then my course is called Know Thyself, the journey of self-discovery. And it's focusing on planets. And I've been working with this for over 16 years. And I teach it online now with a very small group because it's all about individual attention. Here's a lovely picture of Mercury, that messenger. And it's a 10-week course. Planets are archetypes. So this course can inspire, can empower you, help you focus on your sole purpose in this lifetime. And it's for beginners and also anyone who wants to deepen their understanding, because I'm using guided meditation, which is, in my view, not everybody would teach astrology in that way. So very much about encouraging you, inspiring you, and I give PDFs of all the modules, I record all the sessions, I use PowerPoint, just as you're seeing here today. And here's a lovely card from Jupiter. So what you're learning here in this small group is the astronomy of planets, the signs of the zodiac they rule. In brief, it's not a whole astronomy lesson, I can tell you, it's really in brief, but the language of these planets, the key words and images, that's why I use PowerPoint. I'm trained graphic designer, so I'm a very visual person. That astronomy of each planet, their relative influence in our lives. And I love the movies because movies can give you so much information that, you know, you say, wow, rather than, you know, reading a book as a for instance. And in red, I've said it in red because it is quite unique, a guided meditation. And that is discussed, that meditation. So you, and also, of course, you can see other people's charts which also helps enormously in terms of understanding. These just a few of my testimonials. Anne is saying it was incredibly helpful in her personal development journey. She loved my glorious visuals, the rich information, and the personal interpretations of birth charts regarding each planet. And yes, a warm, welcoming group. And I love what she says. It was a highlight and treat of her week, and she highly recommends it to you. Also, Stella highly recommended. If you don't feel it's the right time for you to explore the skies in this, if you feel it is the right time, shall I say, don't hesitate. She loved the active imaginative journeys, that's the guided meditation, that we did at the end of each module. And she says it gave her insights into sometimes complex issues and helped with a clear understanding and a gentle push of my life in the right direction. I've known Stella for many, many years. She's a delightful woman. And she's saying, finishing this course with a lot of appreciation for Pam's talents, skills, and willingness to share more and more of her work and what she knows. So it's a lovely Cancerian, very true Cancer. And here's Geraldine, the second course she's done. Now I do this first course, Planets Within. I also do another course, which is more I call it intermediary, but that's very much about prediction type of work. So if that is interesting for you, please email me, pam@healingstars.com. So she's saying, learning in a small intimate group brings people together in a safe environment. It opens up astrology to new ideas and concepts previously undiscovered, and she thanks me for sharing my knowledge and saying she's learnt so much from attending my course. So here's my announcement, my next course, 5 places only, and starting on Sundays, 20th of October, same time, 4 till 6 p.m. British Summer Time, which is 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And of course, it's 8 a.m. if you're in Los Angeles, at the West Coast. Is that the West Coast? Oh, I get so confused with West. Yes, the West Coast. So if you're really keen to join me, just drop me an email, pam@healingstars.com. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.